Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Jaspreet and this week's video is a glazing tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I glaze my Peacock Platter. This is quite a detailed glazing process. I'll take you through the process, share the exact glazes, the exact colors I use. Most of this is done, the colors here, most of these are done using the Spectrum Semi Moist Underglazes. You can of course use regular underglazes as well. They'll do the job equally well. I do use a few of the Amaco velvet underglazes as well, but it's a fun project. It is a lot of time, but I think the end result is totally worth it. So that's the idea for this week. I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started. Before we start, let me show you something. Yep, that just happened. I was trying to put my phone up here and my platters were sitting right here, and the phone slipped and fell on my platter. So the one on the top is obviously cracked. Thankfully, the one at the bottom is not. Well, that's life of a potter, happens, and you kind of just roll with it. Do you really have any other option? Nope. Well, on that note, let me just put this aside and we can get started. So I am going to start with first cleaning my platter because this has been sitting on the shelf for some time. Made it a few weeks ago. I'm just cleaning this off, and obviously I just had one platter fall right on top, so just cleaning off the sides as well. Okay, just making sure there are no bisque pieces on top. Okay, and I have set up my stuff here. So I'll be using these SMUGs from Amaco. Now I'm using certain colors here. You don't necessarily have to use these colors, right? It's up to you how you want your platter, your peacock to look like. It can be as whimsical as you want it to be. I know that my base is going to be pink, which is basically soft red spectrum. That's what I'm going to be using for the background. So that's why I'm going to go with colors which kind of will go well with it. So there will be green, there will be a little bit of turquoise, some blue, and some pink. So a mix of all of those. I have done a couple of different versions and I like that the best. And I'll probably try another one with soft white in the background. So, but today we'll be doing soft red with a bunch of colors. Now these are the two that I had access to, these two sets. This is set number 110 and set number 111. So I'll be using colors out of these. So whatever I had available, I kind of went with those. Also, I have this turquoise blue from Amaco Velvet Underglaze. This is one of my favorite blues, turquoise blues. So I'll be using this. And this is another underglaze, which is more green. Um, you can use this one also, the one in the set. What is it called? It's called chartreuse, I think. Yeah, it's chartreuse. You can use that as well. I'll be using this because I've kind of dug quite deep into that. So this is something I got from India, from a local clay supply in India, and I have a bunch of these colors. It's basically green, a lighter green. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I've made these textiles for my underglazes. These are the ones with which I got from India. The numbers are right here. So this is the green I get with this. And these are the ones that I made for my Amaco set. So this is 111 set number. So this is how the different colors will look like. This is a darker green in here. And this one, this is a lighter green that I get here. So it's very similar if you see the two greens. This has more, this is warmer. This is, less warm, but I like this green better and I have more of it. So I'm going to just go with that. So the fact is that the colors that you see in the pans and the colors that you see on this are very different. So it's a good idea to just kind of do a little test style so that you know exactly what the colors look like at the temperatures that you fire them to. This was fired to higher temperature, I think about cone 8 or 9. So some of the colors have almost disappeared, like rose and suntan, you can't see at all. I know at cone 5, 6, which I'm going to fire this platter at, this will be visible, but again, not as bright. It will be really light. So I have to just remember those things. So this is what I have my setup here. And I'll be using another pink, which is I put in a smaller bottle, but this is again from Speedball, one of their underglazes. Okay. And good idea to use a clean bucket of water instead of your regular clay water, which I tend to use. Okay. I think we should get started. I'm going to start with the body and then move on to the the feathers. For the body, I'll be using this color at the top and blend it a little bit later on with the turquoise blue. And this will also be a mix of, royal blue, electric blue, and turquoise blue. I can use this and this, either of these. So both of these colors are fairly similar. I can use either of those. These are called SMUGs, which basically is semi moist underglazes. So, but it's a good idea to just activate them. I just bring this in and spray it with some water so that they are ready. Okay, done. Now to add the color, I'll be using one of these smaller bamboo brushes, right? My studio is really dark. It is actually about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, but it's about to rain, so it's really cloudy outside. I've turned on my lights. I hope you can see well. I'm going to sit down for this because otherwise it's going to be a little bit tricky. Okay, so I'm going to start with this color. I'm going to just dip my brush in water and mix this color well. Now, if you want, you can use a separate mixing pan to mix out your colors. I'm going to be using very little of this color, so I'm going to just do all the mixing here. And also I will use my sponge if I have to kind of add more water into these pans. Yeah, just add a little bit of water. I'm activating the underglaze here. I'm going to start off with the top of my peacock, and I'll just go in and start filling up. This is more like just flooding the area here with color. I am being a little precise that I just fill up the areas and not just fill up the depressed areas and not the raised lines, because they act as a little guides for me to, be careful about this. So here I'm going to just fill this up. And as I come here, I am now going to add some, of these feathered kind of strokes, because I want the turquoise blue blending in at this point. So I'm going to start doing a little bit of this, adding these kind of strokes. Okay, and then again with this, I'm going to go in and flood just all of these little areas. And don't worry if you get some of the color off onto the raised areas. We'll just clean that off with a damp sponge, but just spending some time here filling up these fine points, these fine little areas. Now let me just show you. Let me see if you can see what I've done here. So I've just done this bit. I've filled up all the depressed areas with the underglaze, right? The raised areas are clean. If there's any clay, if there's any color outside on the raised areas, you can just take a damp sponge and clean it off. That's why I like to do the peacock first, and then once I'm done with the peacock, I'll go on to the base, just taking the blue off the the raised lines. Okay, so that's my blue done. Now I'm going to get into my turquoise blue and work on this. Again, I'm bringing in my smaller bamboo brush. I have a bunch of these and they come in really handy for this kind of task. Just adding a little bit of water in here. I just have a little bit left, so I'm going to just thin it down inside the jar itself. Okay, this is mixed well. Now I'm going to bring in my brush, dipping it in this underglaze, just mixing it well. And I'm going to go in and add the blue here in this area, and wherever I've missed up there, again just adding some brush strokes like this. So the blue and the royal blue, the electric blue, and the turquoise blue kind of blend in together. You can do this with glaze as well, if you have glazes in those colors. It's just that with glazes you'll have to go in with 2 coats and things like that. With this I don't really need to go with 2 coats. Okay, so once I've done that, now I'm going to just fill in the top here with this color everywhere, the blue color. The top here will all be blue now, so you can go as wild as you want. This is a long process. It is kind of tedious to sit down and do this, but I think the result is worth it. A brush with a smaller tip will do a better job of filling up all of these areas quite quickly. So that is more or less done. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to now take my sponge, and you'll see there is color on the outside. If you want, you can leave the color there. It's up to you. It doesn't really make a difference. I'll just quickly go on top and get rid of that color here so that you can see the texture a little better. Mm, I don't think it'll make much of a difference. It's more personal choice, but I'm gonna do that. Okay, so that's my body done. Okay, the top is done. Now my focus is going to be on the tail. Again, there'll be a couple of colors that I'll be using. Little bit of this turquoise, a pink, and two types of greens. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so I'm going to start with, because I have this open right here, I'm going to start with this turquoise blue and fill up all of these areas. Like you see the feather, this little half moon, crescent underneath here. I'm going to fill up all of this with the blue. Okay, again, this will be easy because you just have to flood that area. Thinner underglaze, thinner consistency is easier to fill up. I love this turquoise blue. I don't know if any other company makes this kind of turquoise blue, but this is my favorite from Amaco. And if I was doing multiples of these, you know what I would do? I would ideally just continue doing the bodies first, like put in all the blue, the electric blues first, in probably 5 of these together, and then move on to the turquoise blue, do them in a series, and that goes really fast. Okay, now I think my turquoise blue is done. I don't need any more turquoise blue here. So I'm going to put this away. If you want to add some more strokes here, you can. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, the next thing is adding some greens. Okay, so this is the green I'm using for the dark green, and this will be my light green. So I'll add dark green in at the back, and then a light green right here at the tips. So that's the plan. This just creates a little nicer effect. So again, I'm using the same brush. Just adding some water here to thin it down so it's easy to kind of bring it here. And I'm going to add more of the darker green up here. And then as we go down, I'm going to use less of the darker green and more of the lighter green. So I'll just remember to do that again, just to create that ombre thing, which I'm going for. I think you can do this in so many different ways. You can have a couple of, complementary colors and a few contrasts and do a whole lot of fun things. So I keep adding a little bit of water in this because as I use this to flood my piece, the mixture here starts getting thicker. It has more of the underglaze of the color and less water. So I have to keep adding some water in to kind of continue, to keep it at the consistency I need it to be, which is like, easy to flood with. And also at the same time, I don't want my colors to be, my green to get, darker green. I'm okay with my green getting lighter at this stage. So I'm just being careful of those things because as we keep, lifting the color out, it takes a lot of the liquid out and you just get just a concentrated color. I don't know if it's making any sense what I'm saying because I'm too engrossed in just adding color to my feathers. Now, as you see, as I'm coming down, I'm reducing the amount of darker green I'm using in these feathers because I'm going to add more of the lighter green here. I think we are good here with the darker green. Now I'll start with my lighter green. For this, I am going to be moving it onto a mixing, just a mixing palette. Pull out a little bit because I need to add some water to it, thin it down so I can kind of use it. Just pouring some out here and then using my sponge to add some water in to thin it down. Okay, and then mixing it up. All right, I'm going to start going in towards the tip of my feathers and fill this up. Wherever there's any white surface, I'm going to just go in inside the feathers. I'm just going to go and fill these up. And I'm not being like crazy precise about where I'm applying. I'm just applying pretty freely because I can always wipe out the lines on the top. So first time I did this, I was so precise. I spent, I think, more than double the time filling up these because I was so precise about just putting them inside the lines, and then I realized that I could be a little free and then clean it up later. And even if you don't clean it up, honestly, you won't even see the difference. Then nobody else will notice. And it's okay if it's overlapping on the dark green. I don't mind that. I think we are good now with the greens. Now what I'm going to do is my sponge, just clean it off, okay, and then I'm going to go over and get rid of all of those lines which came off. And because this is raised area, you'll see all the raised area will get cleaned. The color will stay in the depressed areas, and all the raised areas you can always just wipe back and expose the clay underneath, right? Now we are on to our last step, not the last step in adding the color, the underglaze. For this, now if you see these white things in the feather, these are all going to turn pink now. So that's what I'm going to do. And for the pink, I'll be using my speedball pink. You can see how thick that is. So I'm going to just thin it down. And this has to be slightly thicker so that when I put that blob there of color, it just stays. It doesn't flow and, get into all the other areas. So I just have to be careful about that. All right, I think I've been able to blend enough of it here that will do the job. So if you see, this is quite thick, and I want it to be thicker because, let me explain. So all of these areas that we did with the green ones, green and the blues, they were all depressed areas. So it was easy to just kind of drop your color into it. But these areas, because these are raised, I have to be like careful in terms of just putting that blob there. And that's it. Because this is underglaze, this blob is not going to really stay as a blob. It will flatten out, but you get my points. See, that's what I was saying. We have to avoid. Not make it so thick that it goes all the way inside the thing. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit. Move on to the others. So again, loading up your brush also is important. Don't add too much color to it. And after this, you can't really do any kind of cleanup and all, because now we are adding color to the raised areas. So here are all my pinks. I love those pinks. They look so pretty. Okay, the last thing I have to do is do the top here. I'm thinking I'll go with what color is it? I did yellow last time around. Should I just do it pink? Oh, it'll be fun. Let's do pink. Actually, this won't show once you've added the pink background. This won't even show. You can do any other color. I was stupid to do pink, but yep. Alrighty. This is done. Now my peacock is colored. It's filled up. It's time to add the background. Before I do that, I'm going to just quickly take care of any drips and any other colors that I see on the outside, not the top of the peacock, but outside. Okay, they're good, I think. Here's my soft red, which is actually a soft pink glaze, and I've just mixed it well in the jar first before I use it. So I have a gallon jar. I just move into these smaller jars and use these. Uh, just looking at the thickness and the consistency, I think this is okay. Now for this, what I'm going to do is, it's going to be slightly different than how we normally do. So what I'll do is, I'm going to first start with just going around the peacock. So make sure that I have a nice, coat of glaze right around here, so that then I can go in and do the rest of the area without worrying about messing up my peacock. So for this, you will need a brush with a little bit of a tip like this one. This is a bamboo brush that I'm using, and it has a little bit of a tip. So I'm just taking the excess glaze off here, and then I will have to get down really close to my peacock. I have more control, okay, and then go in all of these areas. And I'm not worried about these little thingies at the side. Doesn't matter. You can see I'm taking my time. I'm speaking rapidly. Okay, just go around adding your glaze to. Now, doing something like this with a celadon glaze may be a little tricky, because I did that, and while it worked, it wasn't the glaze wasn't as smooth on the sides, and just close to the peacock, because I couldn't really do quick swipes of glaze like you're supposed to with a brush. I couldn't do that, so this was a little bit uneven around the edges. So that's why I moved to soft red. I first used cranberry, but then I realized that cranberry, all the streak marks, all of this will show, and it did show. So, and I wanted a pink background, so I thought let's go with soft white, because soft white is so melty. Sorry, soft red is so melty that you won't really see any of this. You can see how careful I'm being. So this does take a little time around the peacock when you're trying to do this one layer. Right, so that's one layer of glaze done around the peacock. Just check to see if everything is nicely covered. You have to do one more. I think we're good here. Okay, so now that we've done two coats just close to the peacock all around it, now I'm going to go crazy on the outside. Actually, now what you can do is you have to do the outside, the rims as well. So I have this little piece of styrofoam or something. I'll just take this, flip this over. Just clean the sides once, and then using the same brush, I'm going to go, because I'm doing a thin rim, I'll just do this quickly. Okay, that's one coat done. I'm going to go over this one more time, one more coat. Okay, so that's my two coats done. Now I'm going to quickly clean up the base Let me just clean this up with my damp sponge. Now I know this is soft red, which is crazy melty. So I'm going to go very close to the base here, to the edge of the rim, and clean off. Leave a little bit of margin here and clean the rest off, because I don't want it very close to my base because it will melt and mess up everything. So what this does is it gives me a nice clean edge. Can you see that? It gives me a nice clean edge here, and it also gives the glaze a little bit of area to kind of move a little bit. Okay, that's all clean. Now we come back here and we finish the rest of it. Again, I'm going to be using this smaller brush only because it's just easier to maneuver around the areas. So again, just going in, making sure you're covering everything. That's why you need a glaze which is melty and not streaky for this, because celadon glazes, translucent glazes will show all of this that we're doing to it. Obviously, there are other ways to make it work. You can add a layer of latex on top or wax and then fire it once and fire it again. Do all of that. I'm going to go in with just single fires, just one glaze fire. So I'm not doing any of those things. But there are other ways around it, and people do use that, do that. I'd rather just do this and get away with it. And you can add latex as well, then take that off once you've glazed. Of course, that's an option. I don't have latex, the pottery latex that you can use, so all right, one more go outside here, this area. I think we're finally done here now. So I'm going to now bring in my clear and just go over it. Now my clear is a dipping glaze. So I'm going to do just one coat, I think, hopefully, and that should do it. So I'll add the clear glaze. That's my clear glaze. I'm going to be using again my bamboo brush because I have to go in, narrower areas. I don't really need my fan brush. So just bring this here and start at the top. This is just a better angle for me. Okay. So even if you kind of, spill over onto the other areas like the glaze, it's okay. It won't really matter. Just make sure you cover this nicely. There's no unglazed surface, especially if you're going to be using this for, serving things. Obviously, if you're using it just for decorative purposes, you don't even have to add any of this glaze. But if you're going to use it for food and stuff, then obviously. And here also, if you see, what's happening is the texture is getting flooded with the glaze. So a lot of this will become a little bit cloudy because it's kind of thick, but that's okay. It will just lighten up the color a little bit. I don't mind that. Okay, so now my platter is all glazed. Ha! I know that was a long tutorial with the glazing and everything, but now it's all glazed. This will be fired to 1200 degrees Celsius in my kiln, which is about 0.56, somewhere in between. And I'll show you what that looks like after it's all glazed and done. All right, so here's our platter after the glaze firing. Let me just show you a close-up. So you can see all the SMUGs, the glaze colors, you can see them. They did not really fire off in the firing. You can still see them. The ombre that you are trying to do with the dark green and the light green, you can see those, the turquoise blue and this pink glaze, underglaze, sorry. These feathered look that you're trying to get here, the pink here. So you can see all of it, which makes it nice and bright. The background is soft red. You can see a little bit of this where we did around the peacock. Maybe a thicker coat would help cover that. But I don't mind this look. I think it still looks great. It doesn't look like it's uneven or unfinished or anything like that. I think it still works. Here's what the back looks like. Nice clean back. So that's with pink, but I have a surprise for you. I did one with the pink and then one with, so this is soft red. Sorry, I keep saying pink, but this is soft red from Spectrum. But I made another one with soft white as the background. Ooh, I love this so much more. Oh my God, I like it so much better. I mean, this is pretty too, but I think this with the blue and the turquoise and the green and the white background, somehow I think it's a personal choice at the end of the day. So let's not just get, pick a favorite. Let's not pick favorites, but this is my favorite. Let's not pick favorites. We love both of these. I love how they turned out. Again, some bits here looks like the glaze is uneven, but it is completely covered. The glaze surface is completely covered. There's no roughness or anything. So honestly, I like this look where it's slightly uneven. It's not completely covered, but all the colors are showing. It's just a beautiful platter. I absolutely love it. So those are my peacock platters. All right, guys, that was the video for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I absolutely love the way this platter turned out with the glazes and the underglazes. So that was one combination that I tried. I also tried the same combination with another base with soft white as base, and I think I like this more. Again, it's a personal choice. For me, this is a better combination with the white in the background where the peacock stands out. But because this is a festive platter, which I am making actually as part of an order and has to go out for Diwali, so I think a brighter background makes more sense. So again, depending on what the purpose is, how you want to use it, you can vary the background. This was just how I do it. I know it's a lot of work, but again, in my opinion, it's totally worth the effort. So that's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, share. That really helps the channel, and I'll see you next week with another video. Bye.